the HIV/AIDS in Africa suffered a lot in the year of 1990s and 2000s, especially in East African countries. Example, Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and Burundi. The author of this novel from Tanzania, Mr. Bernard Mapalala, wrote a novel known as Past Like a Shadow. He wrote in 2006, and the setting of this novel was taken in Kampala, in Uganda. Bernard Mapalala wrote this novel with the aims of educating the community about the spread of HIV/AIDS. If you read this book, he has shown two ways that cause the HIV/AIDS disease spread, which are sexual intercourse and sharing of tools like laser blades. Dear listeners of Teacher Kaligo Dotto Njige channel, I have decided to remind you of Bernard Mapalala's writing through my YouTube channel account. It is true that HIV/AIDS disease in Tanzania and other East African countries began to experience an HIV/AIDS disease after the Kagera's War. That is why the first Tanzanian to experience the HIV/AIDS disease was a person from Kagera region in 1983. In the 1990s and 2000s, many Tanzanians died suddenly like COVID-19. Bernard Mapalala labeled his novel as Past Like a Shadow, meaning people got HIV/AIDS and died quickly. Bernard Mapalala has used the symbolic title. Shadow stands to represent HIV disease. The meaning of Past Like a Shadow means that people are dying with HIV disease. Past is like to die. Also, another meaning of shadow means the death. Dear listener, we found the figurative language which is symbolism. Example, shadow symbolizes death. Bernard Mapalala wrote this novel showing the flow of people affected by HIV/AIDS disease, starting with the main character, Adiel. Adiel is the father of two children, who is Atok, a son, and Abok, a daughter. He also lived with his sister's son, Vek. His wife named Amot. Adiel is the headmaster of St. Leo, and the secretary is Bilungi. Bernard Mapalala began to show the flow of characters. One who had an HIV/AIDS epidemic, Adiel got HIV/AIDS in Bilungi. The relationship led until Adiel took school money to build a house for him in Bilungi, opened a shop for him, and finally he was fired from his teaching job. While Adiel was working at St. Leo, he was drunk and his health deteriorated, and Bilungi refused to have a relationship with Adiel after he was fired. Dear listener, we get the names of Manizer for Adiel because he has sex with Bilungi when he has married wife. Another of them is embezzlement of fund for Adiel. He was misusing school funds. Another thing is irresponsibility for Adiel. He stopped saving his family until the family is saved by Uncle Alal, who is brother of Amot. Another thing is alcoholism for Adiel. Another thing is prostitution for Bilungi. He has sex with Adiel in order to raise her income. Bernard Mapalala tells us that when Adiel was working as the headmaster, there were days when he did not go to see his wife Amot. At the beginning of this novel, we are told by the author that one day Adiel went to his house drunk and hungry. He ordered his daughter Abok to bring food to the table. When Abok was delivering food, unfortunately, he tripped over Abok and the food fell on the ground, which led Adiel to start beating his son Atrok for spilling food. Atrok was beaten by his father, and finally, the mother intervened in the quarrels between the father and his son. Adiel beat Amot for defending the child, saying that he should love his children and not beat them. We have a family conflict between Adiel and Amot for beating Atrok. There is also family conflict between Atrok and Adiel because of spilling food. There is also an interpersonal conflict between Atrok and Amot about the publication for his father. Dear listener, We found the theme of poverty, for example. Adiel's family is not sure of other food. We also told by Bernard Mapalala that Adiel's house has a cracked wall. After Adiel's quarrel with his family, he left and went to Birungi. After he was fired from his job by Birungi, he rejected him because he does not want to live with him because his health has deteriorated because he is already infected with HIV/AIDS and has become alcoholic. Adiel has returned home to his wife, Amoti. A few days later, Adiel died of HIV/AIDS, has passed like a shadow. The title of this novel is appropriate for the first character who died with HIV/AIDS disease because of careless sex. Bernard Mapalala teaches us to get rid of womanized alcoholism and sex. He also gives us a message to use protection like condom to reduce the transmission of HIV/AIDS. After Adele's death, Amoti's health was not good, and she later died while being cared for her self-respecting female daughter is Abuk. Abuk was trying to help her mother recover, but in the end she also died of HIV/AIDS. Because she was brought by her husband, Adele after leaving Birungi. Bernard Mapalala reminded us a title back that the upbringing of the Adele's family was not good because of not providing education to their children. For example, Vic started relationship through the influence of Tusime and Kunhila. These are secondary school students who were expelled from school because of prostitutes and violating school rules, stealing mattresses. Vic succumbed to temptation and became a prostitute and finally found a victim, that is someone from another tribe, Akena. Amot refused Vic not to marry another tribe, even though Adele accepted her to marry an animal. Vic's life was just wandering around once she brought her uncle Adele's beer and the uncle accepted it. Adele passed like a shadow. Amot passed like a shadow. Bernard Mapalala tells us that Rock was a very good football player. He got a sponsor to go play for the Kampala team. While he was at school and at home, his parents, along with his sister Abuk, advised him to be careful with bad groups so that he does not join bad groups. Even I, teacher Kaligo Dotto Njige, give you a message through this novel to be careful with bad group of sex. Love awareness is the foundation of human beings in his life. Parents are there to protect the life of his child. When Yatoki went to Kampala, he found a friend who is David, and he was sleeping at David's house. David was living with his father. David's house. David was living with his father. David's deep family is family blessed by globalization. We get the theme of moral decay and modernity. It is a modernity family. Atroka started to be tricked by David's father to be a thug, to be cunning, and to have sex with women. Even David advised to go out and have sex with Ada. At first he refused. Later he agreed to work with Ada. Ada is a daughter with HIV infection. When she had the sex with Ada, she got infected and eventually her health deteriorated and he was unable to dance. Bernard Mapalala reminded us of the period when Atrok went to play in Kampala Stadium. He was given a gift of car and he was being paid and at the end built a house for his mother, Amot. He was also sending money home in Kampala. Atrok was nicknamed 40-Pot Bullet because of his quality of playing ball. After Atrok contracted HIV/AIDS disease, he stopped sending money home and finally returned home because his health had deteriorated. Abuk was very hurt to see that his brother Atrok had contracted with HIV/AIDS. Dear listener, the author has shown the role and the position of women in a society. For example, Abuk portrays the sympathetic person for his parent and his brother after getting HIV/AIDS. Also, Abuk portrays a kind person for raising his parent with HIV/AIDS infection. Abuk portrays the aware person on the spread of HIV/AIDS. That is why Abuk had a great awareness of HIV/AIDS, even when he was going to ask the financial help to release a young man. John, he didn't want to have sex, also. So there was one day he went to ask for man to nurse his brother. That day, John put poison to his drink and left him. When he woke up, they went to Dr. Jonathan to test if she has HIV/AIDS and pregnant. When she was tested, there was no infection or pregnancy. A book was hard to see in a good health, even though she had an interpersonal conflict after being raped by John. At the end, a book fell in love with Jonathan and became angry. We get the theme of love affair. A book burned his blood at all because he had HIV/AIDS. Thus, the third party also passed like a shadow because of HIV/AIDS. Bernard Mapalala shows another way that led to HIV/AIDS disease infection is donating a laser for something with a sharp point. Bernard sent Vic, whose parents died when she was young, and she was raised by his uncle Adele. Also, she life was not good while he was living with her uncle. Vic was persuaded to enter the sexual issues with the Tusime group and told just a secondary school student who were selling their bodies, and Vic also entered the group. We get the theme of prostitution, peer pressure for Tusime and Punila. Also, the role and position of women portrayed as a prostitute. Vic started prostitute when she was with her uncle. He got the first girlfriend, who is Akena. Akena is a man from another tribe. Amot defeated Vic not to marry Akena because she is an animal. She is a man from another tribe. We find figurative language, which is barbarism. We act of using one language in a literary work, for example, the word Mnyamahanga. Later, Vic married Alganyila and they lived with him for 10 years without having a child. And at the end, they decided to go to a local witch doctor. Vicky got HIV/AIDS infection from a witch doctor because she was using the same laser to vaccinate his clients. At the end, Vicky also passed like a shadow. The idea was left with one person who did not get HIV infection, who is a book. Bernard Mapalala has shown David and his father together with the elder. They passed like a shadow because of HIV/AIDS disease. At the end of the book, a book and a truck went to their uncle Alali and he welcomes him. East always his best home. Bernard Mapalala has used various styles to complete his work. An example, the use of narration. He has used narration to convey the message to the audience. The use of monologue. A character like Adele has spoken alone when he is spared because of drunkenness and womanized. The use of songs. The songs that has been shown sung by primary school students. This song touches the main character Adele, focusing on the issue of HIV/AIDS. Listen to the song of primary school children singing, and finally Adele left the class. Children 5 to 7. What have I done in this world? If memories I shall live all on those, I shall be ashamed. There is no honor in that of having eaten and drunk. What memories shall I live when I am alone? That is having possessed on his earth like a shadow. Bernard Mapalala used figurative language such as hyperbole. Is a figure of speech with expression of evidence exaggerated of meaning intended to be conveyed. All things are represented as much greater or less. Example: a book was in the nightmare. Deep film. A book was in the nightmare. Number two, similar. Comparison of two objects which are not similar to unlike using as or like. Example: she walked towards him as lioness. She walked towards him as a lioness. Page 3. Number 3. Personification. Giving inanimate things the human attribute is a metaphorical representation of animal or inanimate object of having human attribute. Example: a mortis eyes nearly popped out. Page 80. A mortis eye nearly popped out. Page 80. Number 4. Saying. A popular saying made by the notion of people which are most concluded as a truth. Example: life is not easy. Page 9. Life is not easy. Bernard Mapalala has shown the relevance of the life of Tanzania struggling with AIDS disease. There are also school principals who use their position of leadership to have sex with their colleagues. Bernard Mapalala believes in eradicating the HIV/AIDS disease. Dear listeners, the setting of this novel is Kampala, Uganda, and the subsetting are like Adiel's home, St. Leo, rural village where Uncle Larry lives. Dear listeners of Teacher Kaligo Dotto Njige channel, I have reached the end of this analysis. Beloved novel from Tanzania. I ask you to subscribe to my channel so that you can get information about the analysis of literature books. Thank you for listening to me. To my work, call me and send you a voucher. My phone number is 06 57 41 67 82. Call me and I will send you a voucher. My phone number is 06 57 41 67 82. Thank you for listening to me. My name is Teacher Kaligo Dotto Njige, or Teacher Kadonji, the man of literature in the young African writers.